What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Wendell clocking in with another video, and in today's video we're going to be looking at D-Day from the perspective of the Canadians. I'm very curious to see what the difference experience was for like Americans compared to Canadians and Canadians compared to Americans. So I'm very curious to see their side of the story, so I ain't even finna do too much talking. Let's just get straight into it. Also, let me know in the comments what other videos y'all want to see me react to.
I'm Murray Brewster. CBC was there the moment Allied troops stormed the beaches of Normandy.
Wait, the news was there recording this?
Where our assault formations are ashore, and now fighting like wildcats to hold the bridgeheads.
In the decades since,
so was nobody just, everybody was just ignoring the cameraman?
Well, I tell you, I was quite scared.
Bet you was. I would have been scared too.
Our Team International has spent weeks combing archives to find rarely seen images and to bring you voices now silenced by age.
I can just...
Wait, so do y'all think the people that recorded this footage, do y'all think they had guns on them too? I mean, they had to have had guns on them, right? But like, I'm not gonna lie, that's crazy. Like being a cameraman during a war,
shut my
and the fact that the footage is not like shaky, crazy.
The experiences of those who were there, now restored.
Most of us were violently ill.
I bet y'all were. Y'all were
on a journey back to
trenches.
a critical moment when the fate
the trenches were World War I. But I know the living conditions were still horrible though. Bagpipes.
It is getting harder to keep history alive.
I know you gotta have crazy lungs to play bagpipes.
Humble.
You gotta have some good lungs.
I seem to represent most of the old soldiers now.
There are only 9,200 Canadian Second World War and Korean War veterans left alive to tell their stories. One of them, John Priest. He fought in Europe in 1945 and feels the burden of history.
There's only a few left, and I don't feel old, and I feel like all the other guys. And now I wish all my buddies were here.
Hey man, I have to say he does look very nimble to say he was in World War II. Like, congrats to him. He still could walk, talk. That's a blessing. I'm not gonna lie, because they be having some old people that didn't even go to war and they can't even walk. So the fact that he went to war and he's still able to walk, that's a blessing for sure.
But at last it started. The enormous bombing and shelling of the coast defenses.
June 6, 1944, Juno
morning
Beach.
with a terrific volume of firepower.
D-Day, 5:10 a.m. The guns of the Royal Navy battleship HMS Warspite were the first to fire. The pivotal battle, the beginning of the end of Nazi Germany, was underway. Along the misty French coastline, 156,000 Allied soldiers prepared to rush an underwater gauntlet of mines and booby traps and to charge the German guns, fortifications, and barbed wire.
Dang!
They landed in daylight at 5 beaches, hours before Allied paratroopers had dropped behind enemy lines.
Okay, so Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, Sword. Okay, so America and Canada were nowhere near each other. So let's see how different their battle was.
The 3rd Canadian Infantry Division, 14,500 strong, went into Juno Beach with 5,000 assault troops and 2,500 in the initial waves. Those who were there,
they sent half of their people out in the initial wave.
Raw and sullen. 6 a.m. The first wave of the Queen's Own rifles piled into their assault boats. Hector Elliott, a lieutenant at the time, was with them. He spoke to CBC in 1984.
It was about a 2-mile run into the coast. And we spent those 2 hours bobbing up and down in these little boats, and we had seasick bags. So I suppose in a way it was a bit of a blessing, because our minds were taken off the reality of landing on a beach by being ill, being very sick.
6:15 a.m.
Whoa, wait. So they went into the battle already weak from being extremely sick? Dang, bro, I'm not gonna lie. When you actually do your own research about history, it's crazy what some people had to go through, because in school they teach like the watered down version, you know, they don't really go too into detail. because at the end of the day they're teaching kids, so they're not finna tell you the most gruesome and gory facts about history. But like once you actually do your own research, man, they had a lot of people on this planet that went through living hell, like real talk. And it's crazy because you'll never know if you don't do your own research.
Begin their long, slow journey.
Like they had to go into one of the deadliest battles.
Captain Eddie Goodman of the Fort Garry Horse Regiment led a Sherman tank unit ashore. He spoke to CBC in 1994.
Like just imagine that though. You on a small boat, you seasick, you throwing up, then you land and now you gotta run guns blazing into enemy territory. Like that's wild. Like I feel like not enough people really think about how drastic and dangerous this situation was.
Smooth. Some people were exhilarated, quite a few. Some people were pensive and thoughtful about what they were going into.
8:02 a.m., the North Shore Regiment of New Brunswick landed at Saint-Aubin-sur-Mer, while at 8:05 a.m., just to the west, A and B companies of the Queen's Own Rifles touched the beach at Bernier-sur-Mer. Lance Corporal Rolf Jackson was with B Company when the ramps went down. He spoke to CBC in 1998.
I was hit and knocked off my feet. This would be within 15 feet of leaving the landing craft. And
he lucky to be alive.
Water, there wasn't many of the section left. The section of 10 men, 7 of them were killed before they got out of the water.
In the skies over Normandy, squadron leader James Stocky Edwards.
So how far away was the German shooting from? Because from what I be seeing, like from like videos and from playing World War II, I know it's a video game, but you know, it showed me a little bit about history. I ain't gonna lie, that game actually taught me some stuff about history. Call of Duty World War II, facts. But yeah, from what I seen, it was kind of far back. Well, at least in the American version. I don't know what the Canadians had to deal with, but the fact that they was knocking so many people off from that far back, that's wild. Like I give it to them. They had some crazy aim because they was whacking people as soon as them boats touched down. They was whacking people from a great distance.
One of Canada's highest scoring aces was looking down from the cockpit of his Spitfire.
The water was very rough down there. They were putting people off in when it should be shallow and deep, and they're going underwater with the tanks and troops with their gear on. But other than that, there were lots of good things, and the landing was a success. But there were a lot of suffering.
Casualties? Yeah.
8:05 a.m. Canadian troops reported being under intense fire, with the Germans lobbing 16 shells a minute onto Juno Beach. Major Charles Dalton was also with the Queen's Own Rifles and landed directly in front of a concrete bunker. He spoke to CBC in 1984.
The man on my right was hit 6 or 7 times in his left arm, and I was not hit. If I had been in his place or a little closer to him, then I would have got those bullets down the center. But I did not get hit until I got to the wall. I got all the way in. But everybody to my right.
I'm not gonna lie, if I was him, I'd think, my bad for pausing it so much, but like stuff like this it just make me want to talk about it. But I'm not gonna lie, if I was him, I would think about that incident every day of my life. And I know he probably do. Well, he's probably not alive anymore. But I'm just saying, when he was alive, I know he thought about that every day. Just imagine that, right? If you was literally 3 steps to the right, or did he say left? I think he said right though. Imagine if you were 3 steps to the right, you would have got hit 7 times. Like, just imagine that. Like, what are the odds that I was in a perfect position to where I didn't get hit, but I was so close to being hit? Like, stuff like that just make me think. Like, the butterfly effect is so real. I swear, one small decision you make can have drastic, like, it could drastically affect the future. Real talk. Because if you would have decided to switch places with that dude, he would have got hit 7 times, and he would have been dead instead of the dude. But I'm not gonna lie, that's crazy. He said he got hit 7 times in his right arm. So they just went up his whole arm. I know that arm had to get amputated. There's no way. 7 times in one arm? Like, what? Ooh, I know that hurt it. Because I know, well, none of y'all who watching this video, y'all don't know this, but I actually got shot in the leg before, and that was the worst pain I ever felt in my life. So I couldn't imagine getting hit 7 times in one spot. That's wild.
It was a casualty one way or another.
Almost half of Dalton's company was lost coming across the beach. The Queen's Own took the highest casualties of any Canadian unit on D-Day, 143 dead and wounded. In a fit of daring, a handful of Queen's Own made their way up the beach and around behind German defenders, driving them back from the shore. It was largely the same story all along the Canadian beachhead, with the Winnipeg Rifles, the Regina Rifles, and the North Shore Regiment of New Brunswick clawing their way forward with tanks and artillery supporting them. 9 a.m. Bernier-sur-Mer was cleared. Local residents who had been sheltering in their homes during the Allied bombardment and fighting were overjoyed. They showered the Canadians with food and apple brandy, known as Calvados. Along the
Local residents?
Con Canal, Canadian paratroopers fighting with the British 6th Airborne guarded the eastern flank of the invasion against a German counterattack. Despite being scattered all over the drop zone, the 1st Canadian Parachute Battalion cut the bridges at Verivel and Robillon. Sergeant Merv Jones spoke to CBC in 1964 about the jitters of his nighttime jump.
Well, I tell you, I was quite scared. And I even asked the jump master at the specific time if we could change places. But we'd been so trained in this light business, red, don't go, green, go, that he says, oh, no, don't worry about it. We haven't got time to change you. That when the red, green light did come on, automatic, due to my training, out I went.
So you know they'd be brainwashed.
11:45 a.m.
It's crazy. Like, I always say this, military training is literally brainwashing. He just said he was probably the most scared he ever been in his life. But as soon as he seen that light turn green, he immediately jumped because of all the training he went through, which literally brainwashed him into believing you have to do this. When it turned green, you go. No matter what you feel, you go. That's crazy.
In this rare color footage shot on D-Day, the 3rd Division deployed its reserves, infantry, tanks, and artillery, in a second wave. It was the job of HMCS Algonquin and other Allied warships to keep up the bombardment on surviving German fortifications, some of which
Who was recording all of this footage, though?
Further out in the English Channel that day, Alex Polowin aboard HMCS Huron.
Now our job, like many people pointed out to me, well, you guys were lucky. You bombarded the coast and then you left. Nothing like that. You know, we were in the Channel about 7 months. Our job was to protect the people that were going in for D-Day, their ships, their boats that were there. That was our job. To find the enemy ships that were doing that, that were coming down to do that. We did. We prevented them.
Oh.
The Navy's other job that day, to evacuate the wounded back to England. By the end of D-Day, Canadian casualties totaled 1,096, of whom 381 were killed in action and 574 wounded, a far cry from the 1,800 casualties Canadian military planners had expected.
Wait, so it was less casualties than they expected? Oh, yeah, so it was less. Way less. Oh, well, that's good. Less people died than they thought.
Noon on D-Day. German commanders on the ground had warned beforehand the invasion would have to be crushed on the beach. Hitler, believing Normandy to be a feint, refused to release his panzer divisions until late in the day. An advisor to German Field Marshal Erwin Rommel, Admiral Friedrich Rüegg, says by then it was too late. Rüegg spoke to CBC in 1984.
So he knew that the battle was lost.
When?
At once. As soon as a third front started forming.
5:30 p.m., the Germans counterattacked.
God dang!
The Canadian lines held.
That bitch shook the whole
it was a taste
car.
Of what was to come. In
Cart,
weeks that
whatever you
followed,
would call that.
Normandy turned into a killing
Vehicle.
ground. It took over 80 days for the Allies to break out and then sweep northeast through France, Belgium, Holland, and into Germany, helping to deliver a death blow to the Third Reich.
Over 80 days?
By sunset on June 6th, Lance Corporal Rolf Jackson of the Queen's Own could look back at the beach and see the price of the victory to come.
I watched my sergeant, a Jewish lad, Freddie Harris, first out of
I want to
my
visit
craft.
the beach
Never got
one
out of the
day.
water.
What D-Day
John
happened
Gibson, my corporal, never got out of the water. Fred Eamon, rifleman, never got out of the water. Ted Westerby, never got out of the water. John Kirkland, Boynton, either one of them got out of the water. Doug Reed.
And see, that's why if I was in the military, I would try my hardest not to make any friends. Real talk. People probably think I'm mean and whatnot. Why I'm not talking to nobody is because, bro, I don't want to build any connections and then we go to war and I see y'all get smoked. Facts. I'm sorry, bro. I'm not making any friends. If I was in the military, I can't do it, bro. I'm not trying to see people get smoked that I'm cool with. I mean, I don't want to see nobody get smoked, but it's war at the end of the day. We know people gonna die. But I'm seeing, like, people that I have connections with, that's gonna hit 20 times harder. Can't do it.
Number 2 on the gun, never got out of the water. Al Kennedy, we got Brent Gunner, never got out of the water. Doug Reed's brother, the two of them are buried in 6 feet apart at Benny Samara at the cemetery.
Never got out of the water.
These are only my guys, my tent.
So everybody he knew died? He the only one that survived?
80 years later, a final salute. John Priest makes sure to place his candle atop the gravestone of General Harry Crear, who led the Canadian Army during the campaign in Northwest Europe.
This is too much. It takes me back to the old days. I think all these guys here.
That's not a good thing.
Don't forget. Oh, well, so many of them I knew. And many of them weren't much older than me, you know, in those days. We had young men.
I wonder how that make you look at your country. Like, people that fought for their country and all their friends got smoked, they gotta have some type of hatred to their country. I don't know though, but they be brainwashed, so I don't know. But I'm not gonna lie, if I was in the military and I would always wonder, like, what made me so special? Like, why did I survive when all these people got smoked? Like, that's something I always wonder. Like, I wonder if people that's been in the military, if they think that, like, how did I survive this when so many other people died? That's crazy. But if you enjoyed the video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Dang, that's my first time ever hearing about the Canadian perspective from D-Day. Well, really, that's my first time ever hearing about the Canadian perspective from any war, to be honest, because, you know, in America, they only teach us about American history. So I don't really know anything about any other countries and, like, what they went through or, like, what they were taught in school or anything. But low-key, I can make that the premise of this channel, like learning about other countries' history. If y'all want that to be the premise of this channel, let me know in the comments, you feel me? And if y'all do, let me know some videos I should react to that's talking about other countries' history. Yeah. But yeah, other than that, I don't have nothing else to say, you feel me? May all them people who fought in World War I, World War II, any war in general, may all y'all souls rest in peace, you feel me? If you had a loved one that died in any of these wars, I'm sorry for your loss, man. Real talk. My own grandpa, he fought in the Vietnam War, but luckily he came back. So that was a good thing. But yeah, I don't have nothing else to say. It's your boy Wendell. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.